August the 6th is the Feast of the Transfiguration, the day Jesus took Peter, James, and John up Mount Tabor and pulled back the curtain on reality. His face blazed like 1,000 suns. His clothes became lightning white. Heaven itself broke open. "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." But here's the secret most people miss. Padre Pio used to say this moment wasn't a one-time show for three guys 2,000 years ago. He'd tell people transfiguration happens every time a soul stops running from God's love and lets him set them on fire from the inside. Yet most of us sleepwalk through this day, like we're holding a winning lottery ticket but never scratch it off. If you believe Padre Pio understood something the rest of us are missing, write in the comments, "Transfigure me, Lord." Because today I'm sharing 3 specific things he said you must do on this feast day. Not suggestions. Spiritual dynamite. These aren't church rituals. They're keys that unlock something most people spend their whole lives searching for. Stay until the end. The third practice might be the spiritual breakthrough you've been unconsciously praying for your entire life. Picture Mount Tabor for a moment. Jesus, who'd been eating fish with fishermen and walking dusty roads, suddenly becomes a living son. The apostles aren't just watching a miracle, they're seeing reality without its disguise. For one blazing moment, the invisible becomes visible. Heaven and earth shake hands. Padre Pio got this. This man who bled the wounds of Christ, who could read souls like open books, used to say, transfiguration isn't ancient history. It's God's standing invitation. But August 6th, this day carries rocket fuel. He'd tell people, on this feast, heaven leans so close to earth you can almost hear it breathing. The same fire that turned Jesus into pure light is knocking on your door, but you have to answer. That's exactly what I want to show you. Padre Pio left us a roadmap. 3 spiritual practices that he swore could crack your heart wide open to receive this transforming fire. Not tomorrow, today. Before we dive into these life-changing practices, let me share something that can deepen this journey even further. If you're serious about experiencing more of God's presence in your daily life, we've created something powerful. Our ebook, The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine. This spiritual treasure will teach you to pray the Rosary with deeper devotion, reveal miracles from those who've experienced its power, share Padre Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer, provide a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions, and give you access to special prayers for protection, healing, and deliverance. The Rosary was Padre Pio's secret weapon, and today it can become yours. Click the pinned link in the comments to download it. Now, let's unlock these 3 transformative practices. Because today isn't just another square on the calendar. Today is your invitation to catch fire. The first thing Padre Pio said you must do, become a spiritual mountain climber. Wait, before you think this is some mystical nonsense, listen to what he really meant. Padre Pio would tell people, God calls you to step out of the noise so you can finally hear him without static interference. Think about it. Transfiguration didn't happen in Jerusalem's chaos. Not in the marketplace with vendors shouting prices. It happened in the thin air of Mount Tabor, where silence has weight. When did you last taste real silence? Not just muted TV. Soul deep quiet, where you can hear your own heartbeat. Most of us live in a tornado of notifications, conversations, worries spinning like debris. We've forgotten that God whispers. But here's Padre Pio's secret. A hungry soul with nothing to offer receives galaxies more than a distracted soul with perfect prayers. Here's your mission. Find your sacred space right now. Could be your bedroom, kitchen table. Even your car becomes holy ground when you invite God in. Close your eyes, kill your phone completely. 3 deep breaths, then say, Jesus, take me where you took Peter, James, and John. I'm ready to see what's real. Sounds too simple? Don't let simplicity fool you. Padre Pio said the most earth-shattering prayers often use the fewest words. Sit in that silence. Don't force visions or overwhelming emotions. Sometimes God's light arrives as unexplainable peace. Sometimes as crystal clarity about something that's been haunting you. Sometimes just as bone deep, knowing that you're not alone in this universe. Sarah from Dallas wrote us about trying this last year. She said, "I was drowning in my divorce proceedings, felt completely abandoned by everyone. But when I asked Jesus to take me up that spiritual mountain, this warm presence wrapped around me like a blanket. First time in months I could breathe without crying. This is spiritual mountain climbing, not about geography, about lifting your heart above life's static and meeting Jesus in the frequency where he's always broadcasting. But this is just base camp, because once you've tuned into God's frequency, something powerful needs to happen in that sacred silence." The second practice: stop hiding your broken pieces from the light. Here's what Padre Pio meant. He'd tell people, Jesus wants to be a bonfire in your soul. But most people only let him see their pretty kindling while hiding the real fuel in the basement. Think about this. We invite Jesus into our lives, then give him the guided tour of our best rooms while keeping certain doors locked. We show him our Sunday smiles, our charitable donations, our good intentions. But what about the basement? What about that anger you've been feeding for years? The pride that makes you defensive when someone calls you out? The fear that keeps you awake at 3 a.m.? The jealousy that gnaws your peace? The habits that make you hate yourself but feel impossible to break? Today, in your sacred silence, God is asking you to stop the performance. Padre Pio said, "Christ doesn't renovate exteriors, he rewires hearts. But he can only transform what you stop hiding." This isn't self-torture or dwelling in shame. This is surgical honesty, saying, "Lord, I've got some serious shadows. Turn them into light. Be ruthlessly specific. Name what's stealing your peace. Resentment, call it out. Jesus, I'm still poisoned by what they did, and I don't know how to detox." Financial terror. Admit it. "Lord, I'm terrified I won't have enough, and it's eating me alive." That habit you keep promising to quit. Confess it. "Jesus, I keep falling into the same trap, and I feel like a fraud." Here's the beautiful truth Padre Pio understood. Jesus isn't shocked by your shadows. He said, Christ gets excited when you invite him into rooms where nobody else is allowed. Your shame isn't disqualification. It's raw material for miracles. Michael from Phoenix shared this with us. "I'd been carrying guilt about a mistake I made 20 years ago. Finally told Jesus about it on Transfiguration Feast Day. This weight I didn't even realize I was carrying just evaporated. Like breathing after being underwater my whole life. When you surrender your darkness to Jesus, you're not just getting rid of garbage. You're creating space for something magnificent. Every shadow becomes a spotlight for his glory." But there's one more practice Padre Pio insisted on, and it might ignite everything. The third practice: see Jesus where he's actually hiding in plain sight. Padre Pio saw Jesus in the consecrated host with supernatural vision. He'd tell people, "If you could see what I see, the host would outshine every star in the sky." This wasn't poetry. This was Padre Pio's reality. During Mass, he'd become so overwhelmed by Jesus' presence in the Eucharist that tears would stream down his face, sometimes so absorbed that Mass lasted hours because he couldn't bear to look away. He understood what most of us miss. The same Jesus who became a human lightning bolt on Mount Tabor is present right now, hidden behind the appearance of bread, but no less real, no less powerful, no less ready to set your life on fire. Today, if possible, visit a church. Kneel before the tabernacle where Jesus waits. Look at that simple golden door and remember, behind it is the Creator of galaxies, the Savior who conquered death, the God who wants nothing more than to flood you with his light. Can't get to church? Padre Pio taught spiritual adoration. From wherever you are, pray. Jesus, today we celebrate your blazing glory. I worship you hidden in the Eucharist. Give me supernatural eyes to recognize you everywhere. But don't just recite words, mean them, feel them. Padre Pio said, "A soul that truly adores Jesus becomes a lighthouse for others without even trying." When you genuinely encounter Jesus in the Eucharist, something rewires inside you. You start carrying his presence everywhere. You become a walking tabernacle. Think about those apostles coming down Mount Tabor. They were different men. They'd seen God's glory, and it changed their spiritual DNA. When you adore Jesus in the Eucharist with real faith, identical transformation happens. You start seeing his light everywhere, in your family, in your struggles, in ordinary moments that suddenly pulse with sacred meaning. This isn't just personal devotion. Padre Pio knew, when one soul truly recognizes Jesus, the whole planet gets a little brighter. Your adoration sends light waves rippling through a world choking on darkness. Today is August 6th. Heaven is throwing a party, remembering Jesus' glory, but he wants to throw that same party inside your soul. Let me connect these dots. These three practices aren't separate spiritual exercises. They're one explosive movement. First, you create sacred space through silence, building a landing pad where God can touch down. Then, in that holy quiet, you surrender every shadow to his light, holding back nothing. Finally, you adore him in the Eucharist with everything you've got, recognizing his real presence and letting that recognition rewire your entire worldview. See the beautiful progression. Silence prepares your heart. Surrender cleanses your heart. Adoration ignites your heart. And when your heart is prepared, cleansed, and ignited, something extraordinary happens. You become a human bonfire of his light. Padre Pio promised, those who truly see Christ become what they're looking at. Not just spiritual poetry, scientific fact. When you genuinely encounter Jesus through these practices, his light begins blazing through you. Your family notices something different. Co-workers sense peace they can't explain. Strangers are drawn to something they glimpse in your presence. This is Transfiguration's real miracle. Not that Jesus showed his glory to 3 guys 20 centuries ago, but that he wants to show his glory through you, today, in your ordinary life. The same divine fire that blazed from his face on Mount Tabor is available to blaze from your life. But understand this light doesn't fade when the sun sets. When you genuinely practice what Padre Pio taught, you're not having a temporary spiritual high. You're opening a portal in your soul that stays open. You're creating a pathway for God's light that strengthens every time you walk it. Sarah, who felt God's presence during her divorce, that peace never completely left. Michael, who surrendered his 20-year guilt. It transformed how he approaches every relationship. This is authentic transformation. Not fleeting emotion, but permanent rewiring of how you move through the world. Today, heaven isn't waiting for crowds. It's waiting for you. Right now, Jesus is extending the same invitation he gave those 3 apostles. Come up here with me. Let me show you what's really happening. Let me show you who you really are when my light shines through you. Here's what happens next. Don't wait for tomorrow. Don't tell yourself you'll try this when you feel more spiritual or have more time. Today is August 6th. This invitation expires at midnight. First, find your quiet space and become a spiritual mountain climber. Even 10 minutes. Create that sacred silence where you can hear God's voice above life's chaos. Second, bring him every shadow you've been hiding, your fears, anger, shame, struggles. Stop performing. Start trusting. Let him turn your darkness into dawn. Third, adore him in the Eucharist with your whole heart. Whether physically in church or making spiritual adoration from home, recognize that the same Jesus who blazed like lightning on Mount Tabor is present and ready to ignite your life. Remember Padre Pio's promise. Those who truly see Christ become what they're looking at. You don't just receive his light, you become his light. You carry his presence into every room, every conversation, every challenge. If these words have ignited something in your heart, if you feel that call to let Jesus transfigure your life, write in the comments, "Transfigure me, Lord." Your words aren't just comments. They're prayers rising to heaven. When you write those words, you join thousands of souls choosing to step into God's light today. Don't keep this fire to yourself. Share this video with 3 people who need God's transforming love. Maybe families struggling in darkness. Maybe friends who've lost hope. Maybe someone who needs reminding that God hasn't forgotten them. Your sharing could be the spark that changes someone's life forever. Want to keep growing in faith and discovering more of Padre Pio's life-changing wisdom? Subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're here to walk this journey with you, sharing truth that can revolutionize your relationship with God. Remember Padre Pio's words, pray, have faith, and don't worry. The love you're seeking is closer than your next heartbeat. God's light is already shining on you. Today, you're just learning to see it, receive it, and become it. Today, heaven is waiting for your yes. And when you say yes to Jesus, you'll discover that his light doesn't just change your day, it rewires your eternity. May God set you ablaze on this feast of his transfiguration.